both congratulating teammates on re-signing with the team, like the one he sent to Chris Carson. Also just being complimentary of teammates like DK Metcalf, who Russ called special. And yet in the midst of all of that, there is still the belief that Russell Wilson would like to be traded from Seattle. So some of us will look at this and say, what the heck is going on here? The good news is Dianna Russini can answer that question. Dianna, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, Mike, so much on social media, all the compliments for his teammates. Russell Wilson's a great teammate. His issue isn't his guys. His issue is with the front office and their decisions on this roster and what they're doing. So the bigger issue here is, yes, he's out here complimenting everybody, but have we seen him say he wants to be a Seattle Seahawk? Have we seen the Seattle Seahawks say Russell Wilson's our quarterback? We have yet to see any movement. We've been talking about this for 2 months now. Someone say something. So here's what I can tell you. Around league circles right now, the talk is that the door is still open for a trade to happen. It just needs to be the right situation. And if this were to actually happen, Mike, it's going to be closer to the draft. This is the prime time. And as Adam Schefter, I know, shared with you on the show, it always made sense. If they were going to make a deal, it was going to be closer to the draft, not before free agency.
All right, that seems exactly right. 5 weeks from tomorrow, from tonight. This is Thursday. 5 weeks from tonight is round one. So that's the timetable that we're looking for here. So let me bring some of the rest of the crew in for these thoughts. Desmond Howard, I've not had a chance to chat with you about this since it all started becoming a thing. What is your sense of this? Russell Wilson putting teams out there, talking about wanting to be traded. What's your takeaway?
I tell you what, Greeny, when I first heard about it, to release a statement saying, well, we don't want to be traded. We want to stay here in Seattle. But if we were to be traded, these are the teams we would like to go to. I thought that was the first preemptive strike from Russell Wilson's camp, which kind of surprised me because I've been watching this young man since he was in college, North Carolina State, then Wisconsin. And he's like the consummate team guy. He doesn't want to ruffle any feathers. But I think things in Seattle have started to rub him the wrong way. So he's testing the water. He and his camp released that statement just to see what type of reaction they will get. Now, Greeny, I don't think he really wants to be disruptive in the locker room. I don't think he wants to be a guy who fights the organization. I believe he wants to be in Seattle, but he wants to do it under his terms, which is kind of different for Russell Wilson. He's maturing now. He's growing up. But Pete Carroll, man, is such a slick talker. Greeny, I don't see him having any problems keeping Russell Wilson there at least for one more season.
Well, we'll find out how that works out. Meanwhile, Ninko, how would you feel if the Seahawks were to trade away Russell Wilson? What would go through your mind?
My instant thought that would just pop in my head would be, who's the idiot that traded Russell Wilson? And look, if you trade away a franchise player like Russell Wilson, you must be missing something upstairs, because in the NFL especially, we know that this is a quarterback league. You want to find a franchise quarterback. They have a franchise quarterback. You look at all these teams that don't have a franchise quarterback. What are they looking to do? To try and find one. And they have one right in front of them. So if you're Seattle, you do not trade Russell Wilson. And if you do, and you had a crystal ball, you look into the future, and you see him win a Super Bowl with somebody else, and Seattle hasn't found the next guy after Russell Wilson, you would look like a complete fool. So if you're Seattle, you try and help them out. Bring in a top draft pick at tackle, something to make them happy, because if you trade them away, you're going to regret it.
That seems fair. In the meantime, there's a lot of different pieces to this, Chris Canty. And so if you were to give the people in Seattle, I don't mean the Russell himself, but the Pete Carrolls in the front office and maybe even some of his teammates, if you were to inject them with truth serum, what do you think they would tell you about Russell?
Well, I think they would say that Russell Wilson is an elite quarterback, but there's probably more maintenance than the perception of Russell Wilson would lead us to believe. I mean, otherwise, why would they be having a conversation about trading him? I mean, I'm with Ninko. There's no world that I would want to move on from Russell Wilson, yet we've been hearing these grumblings coming out of Seattle for the last couple of all seasons. There's a reason for that. Maybe Russell Wilson is wearing thin on that organization, and Pete Carroll and John Snyder are looking at it and saying, if we're going to move on from Russell Wilson at any point in the near future, this might be the offseason to do it based on what's in the draft and what's out there in the landscape of the NFL with teams that want to move off of young quarterbacks.
I agree with that. And Russell Wilson is a brilliant player. Nothing I'm about to say changes that. But the only other explanation is we have entered a very strange place in football where having a quarterback on a rookie contract is actually more valuable than having almost almost as valuable, if not as valuable, as having a top-line starting quarterback. Is that a ridiculous way to look at team building right now?
Not at all. It's the most valuable commodity in the NFL, having a QB on a rookie deal.
Right.
Let's keep in mind the Seattle Seahawks won their championship when Russ was on his rookie deal. So Pete Carroll and John Snyder understand that formula. So if we're looking at this situation and we're being honest with ourselves, the Seattle Seahawks, if they're going to make that decision to move on from Russ at some point in the near future, in the next calendar year, then it feels like this will be the offseason to do it.
It's just something to think about. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been in the Super Bowl in a decade. Russell Wilson hasn't been back since he got paid. Maybe this rookie salary contract situation for the quarterback is the way a lot of teams are considering building. Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.